Designed in California. Yes! Hey bike farmers, thanks for clicking in. I don't know what it is about these pink and purple Specialized from, I don't know, about 1992, but people sure do love them. I think it's just because they're cool looking. You know, these faded paint jobs, it's retro, but still looks cool. But they're kind of all over the place. You can find them in pretty good shape like this one is. A lot of people are getting these things and then putting a bunch of fancy new like alt bike, if you are into that term, kind of components on it, upright handlebars, leather saddles, that kind of thing. You can put some nicer wheels, some fancier tires. They make great ATBs and they're fun to build up as like a hobby, sort of a creative expression kind of thing. I saw a lot of these at the Nutmeg Nor'easter. You see a lot of them online, like Instagram bikes, you know, that kind of thing. I thought about doing that with this one. I was gonna buy a bunch of fancy parts at the bike swap, but it just doesn't seem worth it to me. I wanna sell this bike. It's not for myself. You know, just around here at Gibbs, it's hard to sell these bikes anyway, just because they are a little radical and people are kind of conservative around here. But I do want to do that to my own bike. Part one is out there of the one that got away. I got my old Trek 950 back, found a bunch of rust on the frame. I'm gonna strip that frame down and repaint it, and then I want to build that up with all kinds of fancy alt bike parts and upright handlebars and do a build that way. So there's some ideas I have for that bike and I'm gonna try them out on this bike. The main change I'm gonna do is with the crank set. I've got an older mountain bike crank set, Dior LX, and I'm gonna try to go with a really little, I think 24 tooth, a little chain ring, and then try to jump 20 teeth, which is a lot. Most front derailleurs, from my experience, kind of only work up to about 16 teeth gap. But we're gonna stretch the limits. I think other people have done it. I haven't done a whole lot of research, but I've seen some videos. People are into it. It's kind of like an alt bikey thing to do. I'm just gonna try it, see if I can get it to work. And if I can't, well, then we'll undo it and whatever. I think it's going to be fun and interesting and weird, and I'm going to learn something because I don't really know what I'm doing. I know enough to be dangerous and take you along for the ride. I'm going to put on some friction shifters, some new brake levers, new saddle. I'm going to keep these wheels and tires because they look to be okay, new derailleurs. So we'll kind of spruce this up, make it cool, but not too cool. You can do this yourself for pretty cheap if you are lucky enough to have a decent bike co-op nearby, or buying parts on eBay. You can get stuff like this pretty cheap, really. It's a fun hobby and a good creative expression through bicycles. So kick back and relax, and I'm gonna get started. Okay, per the usual. Oh yeah, this front shifter and everything is just flopping around up here. There's not a matching cockpit here, so I wouldn't sell anything like that. At my bike shop, I always make everything match, so that's part of the reason why I'm doing this. It's because my hand was forced anyway. But per the usual, we'll pop the wheels off and set them aside. I'm just gonna go ahead and put a new chain and cassette on this bike because we're gonna get that crank all cleaned up. Everything's gonna be new, so might as well. And we lost audio. So here I am removing the crank arms. I use this little tool because I like it better than the one with the handles. It gets that 15 millimeter on there and they pop right off. And now I try to remove this bottom bracket. So take one. I'm going to try it again from a little different leverage point with the little wrench, and nope, that's not going to work. And how about this terrible, there's no leverage here at all. Most of the time I'm like trying to just get the camera angle, and anyway, this is a fool's errand anyway, which you'll learn here in a second. Okay, try a different handle maybe. No, that didn't work. How about a different wrench? This is a longer one with one of those hingy doodads, and oh man, it really wants to go, but it doesn't. Try it again here. Different angle. No. Okay, now with some leverage, there it went. Okay. So let's take a closer look at that.
Oh, cow. Woo. The strength and the power behind that is amazing. Anyway, so we got that loosened up. So let's remove the bottom bracket. Oh, wait a second. That's really loose. So this is one of those bottom brackets where the adjustable cup is on the drive side. It's a backwards bottom bracket. And I didn't know it till now. It's all rusty in there. So, oh, what a segue right into the bottle cage. But I'm doing this for a reason. So I'm going to put a yellow one on there. You'll see that. Oh, I dropped the bolt. And okay, this is why I'm doing it. I wanted to squirt some tri-flow in there. We'll get this front derailleur off. And it's going to help if I loosen the cable, I suppose. And this is where I explain to you, I'm going to futz around with this for a second. Okay, now I'm going to explain to you how this is a lame front derailleur. Nobody likes an Altus A20 front derailleur. It can't be on this bike. Or an Altus A20 rear derailleur, for that matter. It's just not cool enough for this bike. So we'll remove that. Now, here we go.
I have no idea. I've never had my mic just drop like that. I had to reset it. Anyway, these are horizontal dropouts that they didn't really make horizontal dropouts. They just kind of cheated and turned them into vertical dropouts, which is fine for derailleur. But if you wanted to, you could just cut this part out in the middle, and then this would be a very suitable single speed mountain bike. And a nice option with these frames, if you happen to notice it, which I did, just happen to notice it. So back to regular programming. This looks like a brand new brake cable. It's too bad, but with the riser bars, we're gonna need to add some length to the housing, so we're gonna need new cables. If I could use this rear one on the front. There's all that. Nothing really wrong with these foam grips, except they're just kind of hard and gross and Bontrager-y. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. All old housing. So we can use this brake cable for the front with the new handlebars. Set that aside and reuse it. You can hear a compressor going off. It means it's 8:30, which is time to go for a walk with Mrs. Bike Farmer. Good time to take a break. Well, let's remove the bars first. So I'm just kind of turning this headset here, and it's very crunchy. So we should probably take that apart, clean it, lube it, do the things. Chilly walk this morning. It's like 10 degrees out there. I cut it short and Maggie kept going. Oh boy. She was born in northern Minnesota. Her middle name is Snow. Parents, I think, like lived in a cabin, like a homemade cabin that they built. They were just kind of like homesteading hippies. You know, from Madison to northern Minnesota. It's like from San Francisco up to Humboldt or something. Anyway, I think it's in her blood that she's able to handle this cold weather a little better than me. Yeah, it's bone dry in there. It was time. I think the way I'll play this is just grab some speed degreaser and just kind of make a mess of things here. This seems to work pretty good usually. You know, I think at the end of the day, this headset should probably just be replaced. but it's a 1-inch threaded headset. I don't think maybe I've got one laying around, but who knows if it's in better shape. That doesn't look too bad really in there. And I just take the wet part of the rag. It still has that degreaser on it. Good and greasy. I put a little grease on the threads here on the steer tube. Everything's going together very well here. Oh yeah, that feels way more better, hey? Okay, so I got things kind of hand tight, and I'm gonna tighten that down even a little bit more by hand. And that's a little bit tight, but no bigs. And then hopefully do one of those and it should be just exactly perfect. Yeah, nailed it. Fixed. Behold, a brilliant shine. Hey bike farmers, just a quick note while there's a lull in the action. If you've made it this far, I assume you liked the video enough to click the like button. If you really like it, let us know in the comments below. And if you're into bicycle content for regular people, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you're able to support more directly, click on the super thanks button and send me some taco money. Or better yet, join the channel as a monthly sustaining member. All of these things will help grow the channel organically and give the Bike Farmer YouTube channel a strong future. Thanks again for watching. Now let's get back to the bikes. Yeah, this is a mess. So this is the shifter and brake lever we took off before. I want to get this cable out of there. The shift cable's good, but they don't make it easy. This is a total waste of time. I should just throw a new cable on there. In the middle of the season, when time is money, you just throw a new cable in there. But it's the dead of winter. I got nothing better to do but harvest cables from shifters. So here's something new I've started doing too. It's a bin of takeoff parts. So when I get done with parts, I toss them in the bin right next to the recycle bin, which is right next to the garbage trash. Used to say rubbish. Sorry about the middle finger. All right, let's do something about this here. We got a shift cable and a brake cable. Here's our stem. This here Dior LX crank set is what's going on the bike, and it is filthy and atrocious. I believe it goes 26, 36, 46. So I lied. We're gonna go 26, and then I'm gonna take this 42 tooth ring, so it's gonna be 26, 42, and then I'm gonna find the biggest cassette for some serious big cog energy. But I'm gonna take this all apart and then put it all back together again. So here we go. All right, Shimano SG C24, shined right up. Look at that, beautiful. So now we gotta take these apart. Alright, so there's a spacer. There's more spacers. So that's notable because we're gonna need to find the right spacing at some point. And this is the part where I start, you know, my brain just doesn't work. I don't remember spacing and I don't do numbers very well. I'm more of a trial and error kind of guy, which is so dumb. I mean, I'm capable of it, I just don't do it. Neurodivergence, I suppose. So I'm gonna try to keep all those together over there. See if this one comes apart as easily. It doesn't look like it wants to. I probably should have tried a little bit of Croyle or something on these. Oh, that was good. Can drop some Croyle on the situation here. Probably best to let it sit for a little bit. Okay, so that one's already loose. The oil that creeps. I'm going to use this Ecotech degreaser. It's just a little less harsh than the speed degreaser. Get after it with a brush a little bit here. Kind of scrub the nether regions a tad. So then you can take the speed degreaser. That's shiny and new. Now, a lot of people use ultrasonic cleaners or other kinds of parts cleaners. I had one for a while and I used it and it works pretty good. But I don't know if it saves a whole lot of time. You know, people are like, oh, you just throw the parts in there and let it run while you do other stuff. And yeah, I don't know. It seems like there's a lot of scrubbing and wiping and all this stuff anyway. I guess if it was something I was doing like all the time every day, then yeah. But anyway, my parts cleaner broke. Just kind of stopped working. It was a cheapo Amazon one. Worked good for a couple of years. Probably worth it. You know, like a good one's $1,000. You know, that one was probably 150. So you get what you pay for. All right, let's see if this thing has come around a little bit over to my side. Which one was loose? This one was loose, right? I don't remember. Here we go, kids. Nope. Nope. Oh man, I rounded that one out. All right, let's exercise a little more caution here. So this one, once you get them freed up, that seems to want to, you know, at least this one, if it's an example, we're in good shape. All right, well, it's moving. But the other side is moving too. So that's when we get this tool. So this is the chainring wrench, chainring nut wrench. Let's see if I can twist it off from this side. I feel like, yeah, okay. So if you just get it over the hump, there we go. Yep, rusty chainring bolts. Can take a lot of time. So this is something where it's like, on most of the bikes that I'm fixing, you know, I would never suggest replacing a chainring because the labor can get to be so intensive. Like this is taking forever, it's a real pain in the butt. You know, you're better off just putting on a new crankset. It's so much easier, like so many things. You know, this is kind of a hobbyist thing right now. This bike is more hobbyist level. Okay, so that one came out good. You know, and this was just a shitty old crank I had in my bins. You know, why was I keeping it? Found this chainring that I think is perfect for the project. I think 42 tooth is kind of an oddball size. You know, this came on a Fuji touring bike or hybrid of some sort, you know, some pretty high road gearing. Okay. It's just really hard to get a good grip on things. How even do I want to do it? Okay, so we'll go that way, and then like that maybe. Hey, hey, I think I got her. I did. A little bit of a struggle there. Not too bad. Into the bins. With ya. With all ya. And that's gonna be our crazy gearing. Well, we gotta do some cleaning of the chainring here. Okay, so this one's easy. This one we just screw back on, like yow. And I think it doesn't really matter a whole lot. I've seen these crank bolts Loctited before, which makes sense, you don't want them loosening up. I'm gonna grease them. I don't know why. Just dropped a chainring bolt. Oh, I should do that last. I thought I eyeballed this and the BCD is wrong. I didn't measure. I just eyeballed it. I was like, oh, those are the same, and they're clearly not. I could go ahead and measure and tell you all what the difference is, and some of you out there are gonna know just by looking at it. But that sucks because I really wanted 42 tooth there. So here we go. Okay, so here's like a newer version of Dior LX, and I know that I could go down the Sheldon Brown rabbit hole and figure out all of the bolt patterns and diameters and stuff, but let's just say that it gets confusing and that I've never been able to make sense of it in my brain because I'm just not that smart. But these are different sizes, and so I found this one and I was like, ooh, 42 tooth chainring on it, blah blah blah, but it happens to be the big chainring for this, so this is like a subcompact or something. So here's the middle, and then there's this tiny little 22. So this was that I just took it apart to rob this and try to put it on that, but it's the wrong size. So what I'm gonna do is abandon ship. Okay, and then just because I don't know why, I am going to make this a 2-speed crankset. The problem that you run into a lot of the time is when you remove a chainring is then your bolts don't really work anymore. So you need to find short ones. It's like I have some here. I found some in the bins, but I'd rather not use them. This is like when you do single speed conversions, you need different chainring bolts. But I have these little spacers here. So I think what I'm gonna try to do is apply these spacers to the backs of the bolts here. See if we can get things tight, and it appears that we can. So this is going to be the big chainring. Now, what I'm asking myself is, why am I even doing this? And maybe perhaps you all are asking yourselves, why is he doing this? And then I would ask, why are other people doing this? And then I would ask, are other people doing this? And, you know, let's just call it good content. I forgot the spacer. So we're just going to chalk it up as good content. Watch me struggle. Probably a good time to reiterate, these are not how-to videos, clearly. This is what not to do. How to waste a lot of time on a Sunday in the middle of winter. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. I want this little guy under there. Gotta undo it all. I'm really struggling. So this under the crank arm hides it. And get all these chainring bolts Guten tight. Can't remember which ones I did. Yeah, sometimes you can just crank on them and the nuts don't move. Sometimes the nuts move, especially when you grease them all. So that is Guten tighted. Looks good, right? This Hyperdrive C sticker. dull moment. And then, this is the, oh yeah. Of course, that doesn't line up then. So here's that tiny 22er. So we're just gonna go from 22 to 42. Is it gonna work? I don't think it's gonna work. This is turning into not very good content. This just makes me look stupid. Should I put it out anyway? So I found this one. This is also 22 tooth, but I thought it looked a little cooler. Black. It says Canada on it. Looks more deliberate. You know, if all this fails, then I just put the old crank on, bottom bracket, and make it a triple. But like I said in the intro, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm trying stuff out. I'm learning. Oh, I wonder if having the spacers on the inside there, if we're gonna run into problems with the chain. I bet we are. Grab an old chain here. Well, it looks like it'll clear. But if I have any kind of chain line issues, I think I need to put the spacers on the outside. Do it all again. All right, so get all these spacers off the nuts, y'all. You know, the edit is gonna feel like more of a waste of time than anything. I'm like dreading it already. Yeah, if you can see the spacer, it actually looks cooler on the outside. Looks a little more deliberate. Hopefully we get it working and then it'll be something cool, but. So for those of you out there who like to get creative and don't have the skills or the shop or the know-how or whatever to do this, and you go to your bike shop and you're like, hey, I want to do this or that, and you have like these creative ideas, and the bike shop guys are like, oh, get out of here, and you know, you're just trying to, you know, if you feel like they're blowing you off or whatever, this is why. Because this kind of stuff is no fun to do, and there's no way for a shop to make any money on it because it takes so much time and effort. Now, if you know that the parts are going to work and you just don't know how to put it all together or whatever, that's one thing. But a lot of times, like the mechanic or the service writer or the shop owner or whatever is going to just be like, no. Even if you did all your research and you know it's going to work, they won't know for sure, and it's not worth the effort. They don't want to go through the learning experience. They don't want that cost. You're an expensive customer at that point, and it just doesn't make any sense. So that looks really cool. Where do we want the Canada showing up? Doesn't really matter. Basically, I'm just trying to find out if I can do a 20 tooth jump, front derailleur jump. Never tried it, just always thought 16 was the max. Oh man, I can smell the comments. You guys are gonna be all over me. This guy calls himself a professional. Will it work? Will it work? Oh my God, I mean, that is just way long. Just stupid. Why am I doing this? Starting to get frustrated, folks. Maybe I should go have second breakfast. You know, and I just cram this in there. The whole time I was thinking. All right, so this one went in backwards, if you remember. This is the original bottom bracket I'm threading back in, which measures to like 103. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, see, that's great. All right. Now, I know it's probably just me, but that's so much cooler looking. Totally worth it. I really hope this works. So happy about this derailleur too. It's a Dior LX derailleur, but it's for a bigger tube. Well, this is a very cheapo Shimano derailleur, and I think we stand as good a chance as any of success with it. You know, we'll just kind of have to see if it does the trick. My very first cool mountain bike, Trek 970, came equipped with Dior DX 7-speed stuff. I found this in the bins. Thought it'd be a good choice for this build. We'll see if that works. Back up here to the cockpit. These are just some bars I had laying around. Nothing is easy on this bike. This stem was definitely made with straight bars in mind, so we'll have to open the clamp, and grabbed a 5mm here to kind of open the clamp a little bit. Get just enough room. Get that bolt back in there, hopefully catch a thread. Oh, dropped the wrench. I'm probably cross-threading this. Let's see if we can help it a little bit. Pound that closed again a little bit. That'll help this bolt line up with its happy home in there. So these bars just have a little bit of sweep and a little bit of rise, just enough to get the point across. I think that's a good place to start. See, now that it's taken shape, I'm not feeling so bad about my follies. And remember, if the front derailleur thing fails miserably, we just throw the old crank on. We got the old bottom bracket in there, we throw the old crank on there, front derailleur, and it was all for nothing. Just good content. Well, I just got done eating second breakfast. So I feel a little better about things, but overall, I am unbelievably unsatisfied with this project so far. I just keep telling myself this is good content. Okay, well that's not all crusty. That's good. Nothing a little Dawn power wash won't fix. So trying to turn this into a cool guy bike, I should probably leave the dork disc off. You know, like a true cool guy wouldn't ever put a dork disc on their bike. But like I said, I'm gonna resell this at my little used bike store in Lake Mills, Wisconsin to somebody, and probably a kid. It's a small bike. I don't know who's gonna end up with it, but chances are is they won't have a high enough bike IQ to understand limit screws and understand that they can't bang around on the front or the rear derailleur. You know, I just don't want them coming back after an overshift and needing to replace all these spokes and have to sell them a new wheel. I just saw a comment this morning, you know, somebody is like, $120 for a wheel? That's crazy. And it's like, no, that's MSRP. It's not crazy at all. It's just what things cost, people. I do feel like it's expensive, but it's not crazy. It's just how it is. What's crazy is that you think you live in a world that isn't how it is. The fact of the matter is, we all live in the same world. And And things are what they are for all of us. You know, that concept of, like, I hear people say it, it's like, oh, but everybody has their own truth. That drives me nuts. It is not true. There is objective reality in this world, and just because you choose to think differently doesn't change that fact. I'm just doing a little, usually I do all this cleaning up on the truthing stand. Apparently it's the truthing lap right now, because that's where I do most of my griping too. Well, this isn't working anyway, so. What are we doing here, folks? Look at this, you know, that terribly bent, what you call it? Air filler upper nozzle. Valve stem, thank you for all of you yelling into the abyss. I really do like these specialized Crossroads tires, and they're in good shape. I think these tires are just fine for this bike. When that hardly ever happens, I always feel compelled to change the tires. But you know, that's a good center ridge that they can roll on if you got pressure up. And then these knobbies aren't super knobby, and there's lots of them, so I just think they look like they're good rolling tire to me. You know, I would definitely put this, you know, like all-terrain, but more off-road than on. So, you know, not a single-purpose mountain bike at all by any stretch of the imagination, but getting out on a little bit of adventure, out on the dirt roads, off the beaten path. But yeah, we let some air out. And then I kind of had to move the tire around to get that tube to move inside there. It's still not perfectly straight, but it's way more better, hey. This one's got a little Bill Clinton action going too. It's a little hanging off to the side like that. Didn't we learn that about him? Didn't Monica tell us? Some sort of distinct characteristics. I'm probably making that up. Actually, Rush Limbaugh probably made it up, along with all the other stuff. Remember that guy and all the immigration shit? And then, what was it? Was he buying drugs from his undocumented housekeeper? Something like that? What a hypocrite. Hate that guy. All right, up here in the truthing stand. And we could talk about the truth. I mean, it's a nice segue from the Rush Limbaugh thing. So, yeah, I think the post-truth society started with the repealing of the Fairness Doctrine. That was a Reagan thing, and then it was a Newt Gingrich thing, and they repealed that, which paved the way for one-sided, you know, political commentary, just completely unchecked. Because before that, it used to be if you reported on something, you'd have to give both equal time to both sides, like as if there's only two sides. But you know, people used to, oh, you know, reporting used to be so fair, right? Well then, you know, the myth, I think it's a myth. I mean, I'm not denying bias in the media. It exists all the time and always will, and it's just part of it. But the myth that started being perpetuated then was that mainstream media, or all the media that was out there, was like somehow part of this like liberal conspiracy, and it was just liberal messaging. But the repealing of the Fairness Doctrine meant that a guy could just go on the airwaves and start giving political commentary or reporting on politics only from one side, basically promoting one party or the other. And that's what Rush Limbaugh did. You know, the claim was that all of the major networks and all of the cable news that was out there was already just straight up just liberal propaganda, and that he was, you know, providing some sort of alternative to that, or the other side, but it wasn't. The fact of the matter is that most news organizations were still adhering to the Fairness Doctrine and trying to be objective. But if you portray it as one way and then just say, but what I'm saying is the actual unbiased truth, it's not. It's still very much biased. And that's, I think, kind of started before Rush Limbaugh, but he was the first to really take it mainstream, basically invented that whole thing. And then after that, it was Roger Ailes and Fox News and Bill O'Reilly, so on and so forth. And then after that, as a response, MSNBC, you know, kind of took the other side and started doing just one-sided bullshit too. None of which I have ever really spent any time on except knowing about it. So now that you're all sufficiently triggered, go ahead and let me know in the comments about how I don't know what I'm talking about, because I'm a brainwashed liberal moron. On a much lighter note, let's talk about the sticker that's on this bike. This bike came from Stadium Bike and Skate. Now, I was like, oh, Stadium Bike and Skate. Now, growing up here in southern Wisconsin in the 80s and 90s, anything that said anything about stadium, for the most part, meant County Stadium, which was the home of the Milwaukee Brewers. You know, the greatest professional sports franchise of all time, probably. It's probably the Packers, but, you know, the home of Bob Uecker. So anyway, I looked closer at the sticker, and it does have a 414 area code, which is Milwaukee area code, and so it all makes sense. And then it got me thinking about Bob Uecker, and Bob Uecker just died. And my college buddies and I were texting back and forth about it. And I'm not a sports fan at all, but they all are, of course. And sharing like Bob Uecker memories. And the one that came to mind for me was, as a kid, I grew up on the lake here in town, and my grandfather used to come over and panfish off the end of the pier and catch bluegills and listen to the Brewers while he did it. He had this little battery-powered radio that he'd carry around with him. Sometimes I'd fish with him and listen to the Brewers, but I just remember afterwards, you got to clean the fish. And bluegill, you scale them. We had these like little, you'd have a spoon, and we'd lay out newspaper on top of we had this like shed out on the street side of the house. It was always in the sun. And take a spoon and get all the scales off the fish, and then he would fillet them and then pan fry them, and we'd have them for lunch, probably, maybe dinner. You know, just a little bit of flour and butter and just pan fried bluegill. That's good stuff. And it's like, you know, growing up, that's how it was. I'm sure people still do that, but like, I haven't had pan fried bluegill in forever, and I could just like literally walk like 3 blocks to a pier, catch some bluegill, bring them home and do all that. I'd have to relearn how to do it. All that from a bike sticker. Oh, yeah, buddy. Here's the no-no. Here we go, people. In the heart of things, in the middle of the season, I think it's, I don't know what the percentage is. Oh, dropped whatever you call that thing. These springs, this one was on this way, right? That's wrong. You want it pointy side in. Get a little bit of grease on there. But if you go pointy side in, then see, it keeps the skewer open. That's the whole sole purpose of that. Make it easier to take the wheel in and out. Man, I got a package from Greg Romer, I believe, was the name. Handwritten card that looked like he had made it. He had watched the Marin Museum of Bicycling video, and I'd been in Fairfax. He lives in Fairfax. He's the lifelong cyclist. Seemed like an older gentleman. Threw a $50 bill in there to help Rocco out. You know, he felt bad for Rocco. Wanted to help him out with the surgery. Thank you to everyone who sent well wishes and a little bit of money. Really, really eased. I was more stressed out about that than I am able to let on. That was hard, but Rocco's doing great. Anyway, Greg, I think his name is. Yeah, and then a handmade stained glass dove that I could hang in the window of my upstairs, looking out over the municipal parking lot of Lake Mills, Wisconsin. That was one of the coolest things that has been sent to me, but yeah, there's been some cool packages sent. A couple of people have just sent me malicious things too. That's really, really toxic, sketchy, weird, bizarre behavior, by the way. We all know who they voted for. I mean, you gotta be in some sort of cult to be able to think that that is like the right course of action, or that you're being funny or something. I mean, just mind-boggling how sick some people are to think that it's that. But for the most part, being quasi-famous on YouTube is a whole lot of fun. Doing a lot of talking. This is gonna be a long video, especially if I keep all this. I think I will. Why not? Give you guys a long bike video, because it's been a while. I have been traveling, and I've done some travel videos, some bike ride videos, California, and then I went out to New York with Mrs. Bike Farmer, and didn't do any videos. But then I came back and went ice boating yesterday. I got some footage. I want to show some ice boating, bike swap video. There's another bike swap coming up next weekend in Minneapolis. I might go up there, but I want to give you guys bike content. I mean, I think most of you are here to watch this, so I'm doing this, and boy, howdy am I having fun. Will say, in both cases, these hubs feel fantastic. These old Shimano hubs are relatively bomb-proof. This bike is in good shape in general, so This could have been a easy half hour, 45-minute tune-up, and that video would have been just fine, but I wanted to get creative. I'm learning, you know, using it as a learning experience. Learn to trust my gut that when it comes to chainring stuff, it's like, what a pain in the ass. You know, just even the bottom bracket lengths and, you know, different crank arms and whatever. It's just like, my God, what am I thinking? The other stupid thing is this is a 14 to 32. Oh man, maybe we do want a higher gear than 42-14. Be right back. Yeah, this one's brand new. It's an open box, but it's 12-32. So get a little bit more top end. Go from 14 to 12 for that high gear. So there, now I have a new cassette, new chain. Okie dokie. All right, we can turn this thing back into a bicycle. Usually, by the time I get it to this point, I know things kind of put themselves back together because I'm such a good mechanic. I'm a professional after all. Okay, so one thing I want to do here. So typically, I think that's how these go, right? Do I have that wrong? Do I have that backwards? So typically thumb shifters go up top. I'm gonna mount these underneath. Do that. So when I was at Rivendell, it's a Rivendell-y thing to do, right? To set them up with thummies underneath. And I test rode a bike and it had that, and I was like, man, because I've never tried it. I've seen it done. I've never thought it was stupid. I've always thought it looked smart, but I never tried it, and it really went well. I just have to figure out which side of the levers to do it on, because that matters too. All right, I think we'll do shift levers on the inside. See, it's trial and error. I don't know what I'm doing. You know, those of you that have done this before or seen it done or have watched videos on it, you know, but I don't know. I just do the boring stuff for a living. I never have any fun on my own ever. Not exactly sure how this is gonna work out, folks, but clean the end of these bars a little bit. Get my greasy mitts off of it. Found these cool mushroom grips. Totally. Oh yeah, somebody else sent me another bottle, so I have 2 big bottles of Max Hold now. Stop sending these, please. You guys are like my kids or my pets. You're the best, but the worst. Know what I'm saying? Speaking of which, because all the travel and just the way the schedules have worked out, I haven't seen my kids in forever, it seems like. They were gone this weekend with their mom. I wonder if I should just say, hey, why don't you come by tonight? Stay here, go get dinner or something. Go get pizzas. We'll see. Probably not. All right. Under thummies. Is that what we call this? Under thummies. Now the key is to get the angle right so it functions properly. Gotta be able to get full extension of it, but then also have it be where your thumb is gonna hit it and not hit the lever. It's easier said than done. I think that's the magic spot for this one. I don't know if that translates to the video or not. Unorthodox, but kind of fun. Okay, I'm feeling kind of spicy. I have this yellow housing that doesn't really match, but just because I'm feeling spicy, we're gonna use it. So that is good there. This is brake housing, by the way. And it's just stuff I had in the bins, waiting for a project at some point. A couple of fresh brake ferrules. It's nice housing, very tight. This bike is full of bad ideas. the cable gets routed through this little spot in the frame. This sleeve is nice and thick. It's made for the job. I'm just gonna do a little bit there. And I got some Wubba donuts. Put on the cable. Keep it from wrapping on the top tube and ruining the beautiful paint job. And then, for good measure, we'll load that full of grease. I haven't lubed these cantilever brakes yet. Probably want to lube them before we adjust them. That's only sensible, but we're just getting things mocked up for now. Let's see if that even works. I think we should put new brake pads on anyway. That should work just fine. Taking a step back from it, I'm starting to feel better about this project. Overall, still just kind of like, ugh, but I think we're okay. There's a little kink in the housing right here, and I think that if I cut it right at the kink, it's about right. It's a stainless cable and lined housing, but it doesn't hurt to lube it. Actually, some people have told me that it does hurt to lube it, but I don't believe them. I like that loop. That's a fun loop. I don't know, is that loop too big? Yeah, we can tighten it up a little. It's a canty loop. Get it? For canty brakes. See, jokes just aren't funny if you have to explain them. Maybe my jokes just aren't funny. Maybe I've been down here huffing speed degreaser for more hours than I wanted to today. Good thing I have literally nothing better to do with my life than this. Isn't that amazing? Okay, so this is just some shit housing that I found on the bench. We're gonna start it there. I'm gonna, let's see here. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have the housing cross over to the other side when the cables will cross under the down tube. Maybe otherwise, it's like this. Oh, that ain't bad either. We figure out the length, like yow, and then go cut a new length. All right, I don't have the ferrules on it yet, but I'm just gonna kind of make sure that we're good here, because both sides will be the same. Looks good. Get some lube on there. And then this is the rear cable from before that we can use for the front cable now, assuming we don't fray the end. So we'll try to be extra careful with it. All right, there's a little bit of overlap here in the front. I'm looking at how they're overlapping there. What if we did, this was my original idea, was to have them crossing. I mean, you're gonna get some rubbing and stuff up in there, but I kind of like that. It's just weird and different. I'm into it. So then, this would be the front derailleur. And this will be the rear derailleur. You know, we totally could get away with this. Just because it's not gonna index, right? We're gonna have a friction shifter, so we don't care what housing we use. I don't care how stiff it is, let's do it. I'm gonna snip a little off and use it. Otherwise it goes to waste. It's art for art's sake. Speaking of which, I was just in New York City, in Manhattan, and I've always known that I like modern contemporary art. I like the abstract expressionists. think it was at MoMA, the Museum of Modern Art. They had a room with Jackson Pollock, and then right next to it, Mark Rothko. You know, both of those guys, they're like kind of controversial because people are like, how's that even art? You know, like Pollock's the guy the splatter painter guy, and Rothko is the guy that just like painted rectangles. And I had, I don't know, is the word visceral experience? Anyway, I was staring at a Pollock, and my whole brain, like everything within me just relaxed completely. It was the most satisfying, relaxing thing I've ever looked at. My eyes were all over the place. I was just like examining the whole canvas. It was phenomenal what that did to me, and like the depth of it, and like, you know, you could, I don't know, I just found so much interesting stuff to look at. It just really tickled my brain. And I noticed it, and I was like, oh man, okay, you know, that was cool, you know? It's like, just because I'm looking at a painting doesn't mean I'm like trying to find a picture. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just looking at a painting, let's see what happens. And then we're listening to like the audio. It's pretty cool. You can download the app and like get tours in art museums now. I didn't know that until this weekend. It was interesting because like Pollock is like splatter painting, and like the universe is telling him to do these things in a certain way, and it shows up on the canvas. Rothko, on the other hand, was like, I'm going to choose these colors and these basic shapes and these proportions, and let the viewer experience my painting, right? So it's kind of like Rothko is creating a universe for the viewer, and Pollock was letting the universe present itself through him, through his painting. I don't know if that makes any sense to anyone, but that's what I got out of it. And I was like, I love art museums. I think that shit's really interesting. Whereas a lot of people are like, those guys aren't painting, they're just like putting paint on. Anyway, like it doesn't have to be, And then like a total no-brainerism from my tour guide at the Met. Took one of the free tours, the modern art tour. She led off by saying, you know, what is modern art? What makes it modern? And basically, I mean, she said a bunch of things, but at the end of the day, it was, you know, the invention of the photograph. Because prior to photography, being able to take pictures of reality and represent reality that way, artists were used to like paint portraits of people, so we'd have a historical record of them, and only rich people could pay for an expensive painting, you know, pay for the amount of labor that it would take. And then if you were charging money for it, it had to look like the person, right? So you couldn't just put blobs of paint, you know, and do art for art's sake. But then once that went away, and it was like, oh, you know, photograph will get that done, like, I can paint whatever I want. That's when people started getting way more creative with painting, at least, and created modern art. I thought that was like a total no-brainer, obvious aha moment. So I got to see all of it through that lens, you know, where it's just technology. And then that even works into like Nietzsche and like some of the 19th century philosophers, you know, God is dead, where we don't need religion anymore to explain away like reality that's difficult to explain. Like, why does this exist, but we don't know it exists? And it used to be, we just say, oh, God did it. But with science, it makes it a little bit tougher because we want like reason, and reason trumps religion at some point. And that all is tied into it too. Yeah, that's how I enjoy my vacations. There's stuff going on here that I need to be careful of. That chain's too long. We are really stretching what we're able to do here. Stretching the mechanical limits of what is possible. Extra fun. Bike for bike's sake. So I should really be putting on some pedals before I start going down this rabbit hole, but this derailleur is pushing the chain off the chainring, so I'm gonna move that limit screw in. Okay, just create a little gap there. And then in a similar vein, you can see the chain is thrown into the frame here, the rear derailleur. This is the high limit there. Let's see if I can. Seems like it wants to shift. Back that off just a little. Oh, there's a weird link. Something going on with the chain. This link. Where did I find? There was a sticky link. Oh, it's the one after it. That's why it's this link is sticky. We're good on that side. I gotta push it through just a little bit. Just that much. Okay, got a little bit of rubbing in little and little. I'm okay with that. Okay, so this is little and little. That's gonna happen. And then, just because we're in full-blown hipster mode at this point, and we're in such a colorful mood, and everything seems to be going our way today, we're gonna put these weird blue pedals on this bike. Guten tight. Guten tight. All right. Well, usually I do the brakes first. I feel like I probably should. But everybody's wondering if that front derailleur is gonna work. I'll get these rear limits set first, so it's not shifting up to the low gear. Got to adjust the big cog energy there. All right, it reaches it, and it's not overshifting. It's got a nice smooth feel to it. Haven't busted out these bad boys in a while. Let's see here. I think we'll go red. Tie it to the front. Oh, dropped it. Slippery. Ah! I have a tool for that. The Park Tool EP1, the end pliers one, otherwise known as the extra pretentious one, because it is, without a doubt, the most pretentious tool I have. But apparently I need it, and I just marred it up anyway. Good enough for who it's for. Let's just admire how cool looking it is though, huh? Oh man. I should have stretched the cable out. Now I'm gonna have to redo all of it. I'm gonna use 3 fancy red cable tips on one cable end. I mean, I could leave it that long. Probably should leave it that long, but I'm not gonna. So pretentious. The extra pretentious one. I am dying to see if I can shift 20 teeth on this front derailleur with this shifter and this derailleur and this cable and this configuration. But I'm gonna adjust the brakes first. Replace the brake pads, make you wait. Funny guy, huh? Funny guy. I mean, if Dis and Rush Limbaugh didn't just alienate half of my viewers, that little clickbaity thing I just did with the front derailleur probably alienated the rest of you. So, what a career. Oh, dropped a brake pad. See, that was just karma. Somebody understands gravity, right? Have they explained it yet? It's got something to do with like mass, rotation, mass and movement and time equals gravity. All I know is it's kind of a pain in the ass. Then again, things would probably be a lot more difficult without it. Kind of like government regulation. Ooh. What is it, 4th hand tool? 3rd hand tool? What am I using? What's the name of this tool? Let me know in the comments. Hey, by the way, if I say, I love this, exclamation point in the comments, it means I think you're a dumbass, okay? That's the thing. And I think I'm gonna change it to, I love this for you. I think I love this for you is the wokey version of Don't Tread on Me. That, folks, is the most poignant thing I've ever said on this channel. Oh man, cantilever brakes. Putting the Canton cantilever. Oh, why you rubbing, you son of a bitch? All right, I'm gonna just stretch the cable out as much as I can here. I feel like I might have V-brake levers on this bike because these feel a little squishy, but that's pretty good. Here's an orange one. All right, we are getting there. Very close to the moment of truth. Oh, there's that word again. But now that I said that the whole liberal media thing is a myth, nobody's gonna take me seriously anymore anyway. It's all a conspiracy. There's like thousands of people all working in unison. Gigantic organizations, all in cahoots for decades, centuries in fact. Universities, major networks, newspapers, everybody except Walter Cronkite. He was the last good one. When that guy spoke, nobody questioned it. Okay. Purple, extra purple one. Okay, will it work? We'll find out right after we replace that saddle. I grabbed an Avenir gel saddle here, period correct. It's got just enough corniness to it to be ironic. Guess on the angle here. Make an educated guess. Make it gluten tight. Oh, I don't know. Do I need that glove? I don't need either glove. This is gonna work great. Okay, let's see here. Back out that high limit. What have we got here? What have we got going on? Okay, so I just shifted up into the low gear in back. Oh, and I just found out that the cable's not routed right. We gotta give ourselves a fighting chance here. Oh, oh. You go up through the doohickey. So I'm in big cog in back. Feel the energy. Okay. So I'm gonna go right there. So that's the granny gear. Extraordinarily low granny gear. Into it, very into it. Okay, it shifted up. I mean, this is okay. Okay, a little bit of rubbing. Down and up. Down and up. Okay, go halfway down the cassette. Big jump up. Big jump up. Ah, it's working! Yes! I honestly didn't think it was gonna work. Ah, what a win. My God. I'm not so grumpy anymore. America's gonna be just fine. It's gonna be great, in fact. God, my mind has been changed about everything. My entire worldview is different. Just to highlight the efforts here, I'm going with a green cable tip because there's no green on this bike anywhere. Oh, and I didn't use the EP. I mean, that is good looking. I like it. It would be nicer with a fancier front derailleur, but I'm okay with just that cheapo, hey, it works derailleur. How about this? I'm sorry guys, but I don't usually get too creative on bikes just for the fun of it, you know? But I did with this one, and I gotta say I had fun. No, I had a miserable time. What am I talking about? It doesn't matter that I had a miserable time because in the end it worked. And it really is lighting the fire underneath my personal bike project. That bottle cage barely fits with that derailleur on there. My Trek 950 project, bug out bike, is gonna be dope. Look at that. How about it? Too bad it's so small. Now I get it. I get it why people like these. This is a fun bike to look at. This is a good one. It's a good bike. It's a fun build. Let's put a kickstand on it. Your mama's got a peg leg with a kickstand. Your mama's got a glass eye with a fish in it. So you know how my Waterfords all say handmade by Waterford Precision Cycles in Waterford, Wisconsin or something on the chainstay back here? This one says, designed in California. As if it couldn't be any lamer. Although I gotta say, I really enjoyed my trip out to California the other week. That was awesome. Great place. Wonderful. Man, this makes me want to go up to the Minneapolis bike swap and try to sell this thing. With a kickstand. Give me a little tour. Now, the levers are a little goofy, but kind of fun. All right. I've got it in little and little right now. We're keeping some original parts, but nice Shimano hubs. And the frame is in really good shape. And just lots of color. And if I wasn't in between gears right now, that would work better, but you can see what we did here. Oh, Canada. The pipes, they are, I don't know how that song goes. The pipes are brightly weeping, oh Canada, from sea to shining sea. Do mushrooms. Well, kids, it wasn't without frustration and plenty of very risky commentary that I was able to complete this project today. I'm really glad I did. I've been thinking about this bike for a while. I've been looking at it all winter. I think it turned out really great for what it is. I learned that I am able to make that jump. I think I'm gonna set my 950 up in a very similar fashion. That bike's gonna be awesome. I can't wait to do that series. This one was a test run. Again, like, this could be a tough sell for me at Gibbs just because there's like way more going on and like the weird shifters and that kind of thing. This is more of a bike swap, bike enthusiast, alt bike nerd kind of thing. And even then it doesn't really work because this is my creativity. So I'd have to find somebody who's like, oh yeah, I really like that or I dig that. Hey, it works and it's fun and it's different and it's weird. And you know, this is hobbyist level stuff, which I don't focus on too much with this channel, but I know some of you are hobbyists out there. So go ahead, go to your bike co-op. buy this stuff, figure it out. I mean, that's what I did. Now you can too. Anyway, if you like this content, let me know in the comments. If you want to see more, like this, share it, subscribe if you haven't. Send me a super thanks. You know, as far as money goes, my philosophy is the more, the better. So I want more of it. And it's up to you to make that happen. You could join the channel, a monthly sustaining membership, then you don't even have to think about it. You don't have to think about how I'm getting more and you're getting less. You just make it happen. It's like that subscription that you keep forgetting to cancel and it's like 10 bucks a month. Pick me instead of whatever that is. That's how YouTube memberships work. A lot of times I'll drop videos. You get it the night before, maybe a couple days. Depends on what my schedule is. But if I get done editing and want to just like upload and go to bed, I'll set it to upload and then members get to see it first and the rest of the world doesn't see it till the morning because I usually release videos in the morning. If I see your star and you make a comment looking for a response, I'm going to respect that a lot more than just random questions in the comments. So channel members do have some benefits and I don't pay much attention to it. This is a long video. Thank you so much for watching. Again, don't miss the next one. And to do that, you got to click that notification bell so you and your bikes can stay tuned.